Our learning plan is about a very real problem that we all face as naturopathic medical students, and that is, how do we manage intense academic stress using evidence-based informed naturopathic approaches? This project wasn't just about self-care in a vague way. It instead treated stress like a clinical issue, where we treated it like something that deserves assessment, a treatment plan, and evidence.
The core problem we wanted to solve was this: how can mindfulness and nutrition help naturopathic medical students manage academic stress in a sustainable way? The project was grounded in two ANM domains. First, professional success, which focuses on mindfulness, reflection, emotional regulation in clinical and learning environments. And second, ways of knowing, which requires us to critically evaluate evidence instead of relying on intuition and trends. Together, these domains pushed us to go beyond personal habits and actually investigate what works and why.
Well, at the start, we thought that we know how to manage stress, but honestly, our approaches were slightly inconsistent and not very evidence-informed. We realized that our biggest gap wasn't really knowledge or mindfulness or nutrition, but it was our ability to critically evaluate research. What we had to learn was how to perform structured literature searches. We also had to use the CCNM critical appraisal framework. We needed to separate high quality studies from the weak ones. That shifted our entire approach. So we went from guessing what really works to actually testing out what holds up scientifically.
To do this, we conducted database searches on PubMed, clinical journals, focusing on stress interventions in student populations. We selected and analyzed peer-reviewed randomized controlled trials, also consulted upper-year students about how they apply mindfulness in real life, especially during exams. Right? This allowed us to combine evidence with lived, practical experience, not just theory.
There were 3 studies that shaped our final framework. First, there was a study on mindfulness training, and that was on medical students, and the study showed significant reductions in stress, and it showed increased evidence in emotional regulation. The second study was a randomized controlled trial, and it was done on students undergoing academic stress. They gave them omega-3 fatty acids, and that showed reduction in the inflammation and in the anxiety. And a third one was a probiotic study using Lactobacillus casei shirota, and it demonstrated reduced physical stress symptoms like the GI discomfort before the exams. What stood out to us was that these interventions didn't just treat the emotional stress, but they addressed the physiological side of stress too.
Yes, we did. We created a critically appraised literature review, a handwritten comparison of interventions, a personalized evidence-based stress management framework. We measured success by whether the plan was evidence-informed, sustainable, and practical during exam period.
This project changed how we view self-care completely. It was no longer just a reaction to burnout. It is a proactive, structural, professional responsibility. And we now appreciate stress like any clinical issue. We assess, we research, we apply, and we reflect.
Going forward, we plan to integrate daily mindfulness practice and targeted nutrition into our routine, especially during high-stress academic periods. However, we recognize gaps remain. We did not explore physical activity or peer support frameworks deeply. Our next step is to expand this plan into a broader multimodal resilience toolkit for students.
Our key references include
This project taught us that resilience isn't just a mindset. It's a skill built through evidence, reflection, and practice. And more importantly, if we expect to guide patients through stress, we must first do it for ourselves. Let's go.